One of the most glamorous classic desserts that one can do is a pavlova. And it's dead easy to do if you know how. If you don't, then it's more complicated. Now we need to bake it on paper, and you must bake it on silicone paper or baking paper. Otherwise it will stick. Wax paper, please don't use it because it'll melt and it'll just bake into the pavlova. So if you have the right paper, you can use the one with the little lines on it as well. Take a 22 centimeter lid and go right around it with a pencil so that you've got a marking to give you a guide of the size of the pavlova. Now, here we've got our pavlova, which we've pre-baked. And you can see what a wonderful shape and size. And all this glorious dessert you get only with 4 egg yolks and about a cup of sugar. And you need to put a little bit of the egg white under the corners here to glue the paper down. And then what you do is you simply just peel the paper away from your dessert and place this. And if I'm touching this, the underside is still ever so slightly soft, but the top of the pavlova feels crisp. So we'll put it on a lovely cake stand and then we'll show you how to fill it just now. Making a pavlova is as much about the mixing of the pavlova as it is about absolute cleanliness. Because if there's any fat on the inside of your bowl or any fat on here, or if you get only but one speck of egg yolk mixed in with the white, then it won't work. So this bowl has been really well washed with hot water and soap, but as an extra precaution, take a piece of lemon and rub it on the inside, and that will kill any tiny minute little trace of fat that there may be. Also, never ever use a plastic bowl. Use a glass bowl, a copper bowl, or a metal bowl, because plastic has a tiny bit of oil in its composition and it won't work. Now, the yolks of the eggs are here. We've got 3 of the whites there. I just want to show you. It is safer when you're making meringues to rather break your whites in a separate little bowl. Keep these yolks. We'll give you a lovely recipe for French toast using the yolks. And so I've got all 4 whites in here and we've got the yolks over. Now the beating of the pavlova, also straightforward, but there are certain military rules that need to be followed. You start off by whipping your egg whites very slightly. And you stop. Now there's no other way of putting it. When the egg whites look like spit, that's when you stop. And then you add to that, and we've measured this beforehand, 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. Now the lemon juice strengthens the protein in the egg white, which helps you to hold it. Some people add salt. I don't believe there's any reason why you need to add salt, because it's the lemon that strengthens the whites. Now, what I've done now is to beat these egg whites until, can you see this peak is quite firm. If you start adding the sugar too soon, then you get these sugar tears coming out of your meringue after it's baked. And in any case, it'll take you much longer. So rather take the time to beat it really well. When we start adding the sugar, add it spoonful by spoonful. Now, to test whether you have done your job properly, take a little bit of egg white and rub it between your fingers. This feels absolutely smooth, which means that all the sugar is dissolved. The other really good test is if you take your bowl and turn it upside down, it shouldn't fall out. If it falls out, then you've got problems. You definitely haven't beaten enough. Now, the difference between this would be fine if you wanted to make regular meringues. But the texture of a pavlova is slightly marshmallowy on the inside. Now, to get that marshmallowy texture, we beat in 1 tablespoon of boiling water, and we sift over the pavlova 1 tablespoon of maizena or corn flour. It's better to sift it over than to just chuck in a blob. And then you beat this in. It's thick, it's shiny, and it holds its shape. Now, the next thing you must remember with meringues, or pavlova, whatever, don't let it stand. Another very, very good tip is when you've baked your meringue, just switch the oven off and leave it to stand in that oven, especially when it's cold, wet weather. You find that the meringue is inclined to collapse a little bit. Now, what you do now is you just squash this pile of meringue to fit within the framework of what you've drawn, that 22 centimeter circle. Obviously, you can make it bigger. Now, in order to get that lift and the points that we had, you take either a small spatula like this, or you can even use a flat knife. And you go from underneath and you work it up like this. Make sure we've got a nice hollow in the middle to pick up for all the filling that we're going to put in. There you are, sweetheart. Now this baby can now go into the oven, and it's very important that you don't bake it at too high a temperature. We put it in at 120 degrees for about 20 minutes. Then you turn the oven right down to 100 degrees, and you bake it for an hour or an hour and a half, or even 2 hours. And then you switch the oven off and leave it sitting in the oven. What I'm going to do here is 1/2 cup of water, and I've taken out 1/3 of the cheesecake mixture. So sprinkle the 1/2 cup of cheesecake mix over the bit of water, 1/2 cup of water, and just whiz it together. That's fine. So just leave it to stand while you whip the cream. And whip the cream until it holds its shape. Now we fold the cream into the cheesecake mixture. So here you've got a beautiful, rich, creamy mixture, which will not weep and do funny things. Then we fill the hollow. We can use strawberries. The traditional one was done with kiwi fruit, and we are also going to use a little bit of grenadella. Well, we are just about there, and we just, if you have grenadellas, it does look lovely with the little black pips, and you can drizzle a bit over the side. Now that is seriously glamorous, and you saw how simple it is, but please do stick to the rules.